Hey guys, Jacob Anderson here. I guess I'm gonna do a review of SeeYouSpaceCowboy's first album, The Correlation Between Entrance and Exit Wounds. For me, this album has been instrumental in the way that I view, write, and just generally perceive music. Before this album, I was kind of just like a standalone kind of metal kid. I liked thrash metal, death metal, and black metal. Got my Morbid Angel shirt on, still like that stuff, but it's not as big a part of my musical, what I take in as much anymore. After this album, I got into like a lot of more like hardcore and like emo stuff. So this album was really like a gateway into everything else that I enjoy so much now, and especially like what I'm writing now musically. So thank you to this album, right? So I guess I will go track by track and tell you what I like about each song. When you start an album with a track so pissed as Armed with Their Teeth, that album is going to have a lot to live up to. This track, just front to back, just non-stop violence. like just like pummeling you with power chords, just these insane breakdowns. And it's gnarly is what it is, just sheer gnarly. And just where else can you get something like that, so tight, so raw, so clean, just all packaged up in this nice little package here? That is the first track of this album. Now for track 2, with High Hopes and Clipped Wings, it's another continuation of heaviness at the start. Just another pummeling track, right? Then halfway through, they hit you with the emo passage, and it's so telling for like what their like next album would be. It's very just emo, and it's so sick. The clean vocals that come in and like match the screams, so good, so good. And just Connie's vocals, so sick. I think Ethan does the other screams on this one as well. Again, so sick, so sick. I think he also did the clean vocals. Just awesome all the way through. Vocally, just one of the best tracks for this time, right? Just so awesome. And it just segues nicely into another breakdown after that emo passage, and it's so sick, just so sick, all around sick album. Time for track 3. Now it's time for track 3, Disdain Coupled with a Wide Smile. The third track in this is just another spastic collection of breakdowns and riffs and just pure chunk of what they are just known for and have basically trademarked as the SeeYouSpaceCowboy style. So that's kind of all I have to say for that track. It's awesome. Track 4 is Space Marked Escape. Is this kind of just chilled out track. Like, it's an instrumental, not much going on, but it's still got like this cool sonic sound space where I personally don't think it's a skip. And at least if you're like listening to it for the first time, you should listen to through the entire thing. It just kind of adds to the album and gives you like a little bit of a rest before the next track. Just kind of gives you a little bit of rest on those ears. Especially when you have this many panic chords, breakdowns, just all the wazoo that this band has. Craziness, right? All right, for track 5 on this album, the song is titled "Prolonging the Inevitable Forever," and it begins with just this crushing, like distorted bass, and it just so awesome, and it like just leads into the breakdown with the vocals. It's like, yeah, just exactly what you want out of just like to crowd kill someone to. Like, I can just only imagine how, I want to say awful, but those pits would be awesome. Those pits would be so sick. And like just the lyrics on this track specifically too, it's, from what I've read and gathered, it kind of just seems like it's about Connie's addiction and not wanting to come back to life and have an ambulance called. And it's like, holy Nikes. Can't say bad words. Bad words are bad. But, yeah, no, just like this whole entire track, just, and the way it builds upon itself, and like, again, has some like kill switchy kind of vibes with some of the riffs later in the song. Just so sick, so awesome. Again, awesome track. With the 6th track on this album, this is the song that I first heard from this band. Late December. This track, oh my goodness, just means so much personally to me. Like, the way that it begins with these dissonant chords, but they're pretty, is so awesome. And I may or may not have stolen them from my own music, but let's just say inspired, right? Yeah. Just the way the chords and the spoken word-esque vocals come together is perfect. So good, in fact, that it's just, how can you do something better, right? And then it goes into your SeeYouSpaceCowboy breakdowns, right? Super pissed and aggressive sounding. And just so the way it progresses through itself is just perfect. It's short, to the point. What was said, and they got out. And that's all that needed to happen. Personally, to me, to this day, best track on the album. Absolute highlight. And that's all I gotta say about it. As for the 7th track on the album, it's just a noise track. I don't know what to really say about it. It's kind of just noise. It's the first noise track that I was really ever listened to, you know? Not much really to say about them. Like, they're cool. It's cool to have one. I like Full of Hell. This is probably my gateway into liking them. But, yeah, not much to say about it. It's a noise track. For this next track, put on a show, don't let them see you fall. Again, it's more of what the album has already given you. It just added a bit of melodic metalcore into the textures that they have crossed throughout this album, right? They did it very tastefully, didn't really kind of pound it into your head, which is awesome, because melodic metalcore can kind of get all samey kind of sounding, especially when it's like all 5/7/8, you know what I'm saying? So just having the one passage of it really didn't leave you just like kind of just like ooh, and being like, this is kind of overdone, because that style has been done for how long? But whatevs. Yeah, and then another cool thing about this track, it is spawned one of the band's, I guess, trademark quips, I will say. What's the word for it? Fuck. Catchphrase, I guess. I can't think of the word. I'm horrible with this language. And it's been on a lot of their merch and all of their other stuff that they put out, you know? Don't be afraid to exist. Awesome line. That applies to so many different people in every walk of life, you know? You shouldn't be afraid to exist like that. You think that would be common sense. But no, with the society that we live in, that is not a true statement, you know? But it should not be afraid to exist. And I feel like that's a very good message to spread. Shout out to Connie. The next track is another instrumental track. No words, no compensating lies. This one I feel like is a better representation of the band melodically and what they can do with an instrumental track. It shows a lot more of like cool stuff with the chord progressions, guitars, everything, you know? Just the production on it really ties it all together in this like nice little bow to just cool instrumental track, you know? Cool little emo thing, you know? It's awesome. That's kind of all I have to say about it, I guess. For the second to last track on this album, Dissertation of an Idle Voice, it starts out with some more of that SeeYouSpaceCowboy kind of sass grind stuff. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's crazy breakdowns and shit. Then, for the second half of the track, one of my absolute favorite parts of this entire album happens. And it is just like this awesome fucking thing where it's just like clean vocals, screaming, and they're saying the same thing, but it's like a different thing. It's awesome. Awesome. Probably the best little section on the record, I guess. Honestly. Like, first time I heard that, just, damn. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's Dissertation of an Idle Voice. For the final track of this album, the Phoenix Muster set, it seems like they just wanted to sum up this entire album in one song, essentially. And they did that in a very tasteful way, I suppose. It starts out with, your pummeling breakdowns. Then you got emo part, then you got breakdown at the end. SeeYouSpaceCowboy formula works every time, right? And not much else to say about the track, it's just more good. Now that I've gone track by track, I'll give you my thoughts of how the album flows and everything, and other stuff. Basically, I thought that the way that the album went through is, there's not really a way that you could have changed the tracks around to make it necessarily flow differently. You got breakdowns every song, and when you have breakdowns every song, it's going to be breakdowns every song no matter which way you structure it, other than Late December, which is at the perfect spot in the album, because midpoint kind of, yeah, it's awesome. And I don't know, just throughout, it's just so consistently SeeYouSpaceCowboy. And if you're a fan of that style, this album is just so sick. Front to back, in my opinion, perfect. There's nothing that I would change about this album, And just, for me, so sick. It's the first album that they did with Ethan Scarbosa doing guitar or whatever. I don't know if they recorded on the other stuff with Ethan, but you know what? And it's really different from their past releases prior to this one, being that it's so much more melodically leaning. You got a lot more emo stuff in there, while still having that SeeYouSpaceCowboy sassy craziness, just grinding. It's awesome. It's the perfect mixture of what you could want out of those selected styles. And it makes you wonder what they're going to do. And with their subsequent, releases that came after it, it just makes you excited for those, Their next release was also really good, whatever. I'm talking about this album. This album is such a good telling of them at this point in time. It's such a good changing point, if you will. It's where they had the options of continuing doing what they were doing or doing something new. And they totally did do something new on this album. And it's a landmark for what I want out of music, personally. And that's why I started reviewing music, was because of this album. So, yeah. Thank you, SeeYouSpaceCowboy. Now, to rate this album, 10 out of 10. Awesome. Front to back, no skips. Noise track is a noise track. I don't count it as a skip. Not even track. Don't even worry about it. It's awesome. So yeah. Now that the review is basically over, I guess if anyone watched this, tell me what I can improve on. This is my first time doing a video in this kind of style, and it's kind of just me feeling it out, seeing if I like this, see if I want to do more of them in the future. If you do want to see more of these in the future, tell me what I can improve on. Tell me what I can do better. Tell me what you want me to review. Whatever. All that kind of jazz, And thank you for your time. Y'all have a good day.